Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Whimsy with the Z. I'm your host, Ben. We are in our second month of Teen Talk. So last month we chatted about the summer. This month we're talking about first days of school. This should be coming out the last group because we do them two per week. But we have Pinky with us. Hello, Pinky.
Hello, Ben.
How are you doing?
For all intents and purposes, I'm okay right now.
All right, fair enough. We will get into it in a minute. But you did your first episode talking on the other side.
Yeah.
How was it?
I think I felt more nervous doing that for the first time than I did answering the questions. That was definitely...
We literally came up with it like 8 seconds before you started.
Yeah. It wasn't bad. I actually really enjoyed it. I'd probably want to do it again.
I just like how excited she was with the idea of talking to you.
Probably just have like more of a better plan that I can read this time.
Yeah, she was reading my notes, and she says I'm a serial killer.
Yep.
So, do you think you would want to do more of the like whimsy interviews?
Yeah, sure. I'd be open to like any of them.
I mean, there could be a value in you talking, like not necessarily you, but everybody kind of just round robbing everybody.
Yeah, I could definitely see that being a different experience and giving them the opportunity to ask, questions and see what it's like from that point of view, because it's definitely way different. Not bad, just a lot different.
So I'm going to be asking you the same questions that you asked her. Like, was it, like, how did it feel, like, asking, like, an 11-year-old, like, rando-ish questions?
Felt really forced at first, and then we got towards the end where we both kind of just like geeked out, and it was chill.
Yeah, you did very good. Definitely the first like 5-ish minutes were a little bit rough.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I could tell.
You guys fed off of each other, which I thought was interesting, and I liked. You guys vibed together. Have you listened to all the episodes?
Not all of them. I'm actually only missing Alice's back to school and Liam's. Yeah, that's it. Other than that, I'm up to date and actually ahead of the rest of y'all.
Yes. What are you thinking of the podcast so far? What are we thinking of the other kids that you've listened to?
It's definitely crazy how similar we are. Yeah. Like even the different like age range. That just kind of like, it's crazy to me that we're all like, I'd be like, oh, all those freshmen or, all those younger kids are a little annoying. And no offense to, whoever else is on here, but like, at least at my school and my schools that I've been to, I'm like, ugh. Now I'm like, oh, they're actually a lot different than I thought. Mm-hmm. Not in a bad way, but just different.
Have you thought about the podcast since you recorded last? Like what you were going to talk about, what you would want to bring to it? Like, do you tell people like you do the podcast?
I've thought about it a few times. More so because I'm just kind of, oh, I thought this was something way different. I was like, Ben, no. Yeah, I've thought about it for sure. More because I know that I'm more okay to go into those kind of deeper topics first, mm-hmm. if we need to, just to get everyone else comfortable. I'm good to talk, like. So I've kind of thought about that. Not really so much what we could be talking about, because sometimes it's like, and the way you text me about what we're gonna talk about, you're like sound crazy, and I have no idea where it's gonna go. But I don't mind. I'm good to go with whatever.
Do you think you will be that X factor that kind of like? Are you gonna be the one that opens the floodgates to letting the rest of the kids know it's okay to talk about certain things?
I'd I'd love to be that person, and I hope that at least to, you know, maybe one or two of them, I end up being that. Because, Jesus, I sound like a 2-year-old. And I know it's going to sound worse on mic, too. I'm like, ugh.
We'll fix it. Make it look good.
Yeah, I hope that I can be that person. And to answer your other last question, yes, I do tell people, but it moves on so fast and I never get a chance to tell them. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm doing this later. And they're like, oh, that's cool.
Right.
But yeah.
We'll get a couple more and we'll get some. It's a fairly interesting podcast. I'm getting some feedback together for you guys because people are leaving some comments in the chats and stuff. So I'll make sure you guys get all that feedback. But I'm getting more comments on the Whimsy with the Z than I do the other shows.
Yeah. I think it's cool. I think it's because teens are so different.
Yeah.
But they're all the same. Like,
it is fascinating. Like, you guys, there's a lot of similarities, but yet very uniquely different. Like, it's amazing. I'm loving it. So you are back in school for what, 2 weeks now? Week and a half?
Yeah, like a week. Yeah, like a week and a half now. With our weird first 2 days, and then the full week, and then we're doing this on a Monday. So,
what did you do to get ready for school? Did you like start to finish, like the week before school? Supplies, haircuts, clothing, sleep schedule. What did you do to prepare for it?
I got a haircut like the week before, and I'm not even gonna lie to you, I didn't really like it at first because she cut my bangs just a little too short, but you know, they look fine now. They grew out the way that I wanted them to. And then for like my sleep schedule, it hasn't really changed. I'm not gonna lie.
Still trash.
Still pretty bad. I tried though. Sometimes I'll just at least like settle down and lay down. Other times though, I'm like up and grinding on Fortnite before the season's over. I'm like, I gotta get this, man. And then, do you ask about supplies or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like elementary school where you get like a list before school starts. It's usually like the first day or like the first week ish that you get that list of stuff that you need. So I just grabbed a couple of the extra ones from last year, and I didn't actually go through my backpack until the day before school, like that night. I didn't go through it or clean it, and it was really crusty and disgusting. So not too much preparation aside from the haircut.
Okay. Off mic, you mentioned you would want to redo your hair color. Are you going to do that soonish?
Probably. Yeah, I'll probably do it when I have the funds.
What color are we going to go with?
Pink. It's always pink. I changed my whole license plate to that. Something to do with pink. Like, it's
next month we have Bluey with us.
No, I like the pink. I think it's fun. I'm letting my roots grow in. She didn't listen to what I told her to do the first time. Now it looks fine though. Whatever. Still pink. That's okay.
Mm-hmm. You're a junior, so you've done this. You only got one more of these first days of school.
Yeah.
Were you nervous at all getting ready for junior year / G crew?
The G crew more, yeah, absolutely, like a lot more for the G crew. But for the first day of school, like it's the first day of school. I one more left after this. Whatever. I was more so dreading the fact that I was going to have to sit in all of my classes for an hour, introducing themselves, handing out a piece of paper that I need to get back to them next Friday. You know, like the first couple days kind of suck, not only for the fact that you have to see who's in your class and try and switch your class fast enough before they close that stuff. It's just really boring. And
on the formalities.
Yeah.
Like, you should have done that. Like, you should have recorded it. You should have let me watch it last week, or let me watch it on my own time on that Thursday, Friday. Then we don't have to go back to school until. Mm-hmm. I think we should change that.
I also think that, but then again, I think a lot of people just wouldn't watch it. They wouldn't care.
Watch it anyway. So now we go back to school. Do you go so last year you had a routine. Like, I would assume that you would meet with your friends in the same place for the morning, for lunch, in between classes, after school. All of those routines fall back into place?
Kind of, sort of, not really. Like, those kind of take time to just form, figure out where everyone meets and like taking the time to remember it. But it's it's hard to keep it super consistent because sometimes they need to get sometimes they get their class switched, or you get a different class order every year. It's not like you're gonna have English first every single year, so it's kind of hard figuring out those times that you meet up just right. But like in the mornings, it's usually pretty easy to meet up with people as long as their bus gets there on time, or they drive there on time, or they get dropped, whatever. And then like with the after school, you can stay there for a while after school. So yeah, it's nice.
Are you driving to school?
Yeah, I am. As of like last week sometime, I started driving to school. It's pretty nice. The only thing is, like, because we get there early enough, it's not like crazy when I go into park, but at the end of the day, I'm sitting in the car for like at least a solid 5 minutes just trying to back out.
It's one of those where you would just like screw it and just hang out for like 20 minutes until everybody leaves and then leave. Yeah,
you could do that, but like, because I only know one person so far, like at least I'm taking home, because I'm going to be taking home Mark, and then, one of our mutual friends I'm taking home.
Are you the designated pick up and drop off lady?
You're absolutely, I am, which I'm okay with. I don't mind as long as I have the gas, or like if you're gonna need me to drop you off somewhere like super far, I'm like, I get like $5, man. Like my gas tank doesn't take that much to fill, which is really nice, and it gets good gas mileage. But I'm like, after a certain point, I'm gonna need something.
We're gonna need some of them finances lugging you guys around.
Yeah, I don't mind though. I mean, especially if I'm going, like, might as well.
Yeah.
Whatever.
G Crew.
Oof.
How was it?
Was I here when the summer camp went, or no? I think it was before then.
Just before then.
It was just before then. Okay. So the day that like freshmen and like all new people came to the school wasn't too bad. It was just really hot. I showed a couple of people around. There was this one old man. He looked really sad. He was standing there by himself waiting for his grandkid. I felt so bad. He was good though. I ended up seeing them walking around. They were vibing. It was just really hot that day. And the next day was the actual freshman camp, which we trained for. We got there at like 6:30. And we got to leave a little early, which wasn't too bad. So we went through with what was initially supposed to be like 10 or 11 kids. It went to 14 or 15 kids, sometimes 16 plus.
That's a lot.
Oof, and these freshmen are crazy. Do
they keep getting smaller?
Yes.
Okay.
It's insane.
Because when I was a freshman, they looked like they were ready to graduate college. And now I look at them and I'm like, you just got out of preschool.
Okay. The majority of them are like, it's like 25 are really, really short.
Okay.
Really short. Like they're below my shoulders and I'm like 5'7". Okay. So, and then there's like the 15% that's like violently tall and they're about to smack their foreheads on the way to walk into class, and the rest of them are about normal. Yeah.
But there's a noticeable smaller group of
yes, freshmen. And they all have such baby faces too. They look like they're coming out of like 5th, 6th grade. I'm like, whoa, guys, what are you doing here?
That's funny.
Yeah, they're so loud. They're so very interesting characters.
Are they all rambunctious?
Definitely not all of them, but there's that handful. My group was actually pretty good.
How many do you have in your group?
14 or 15.
50-50 boy girl?
I'd say about, yeah. It was pretty even this time. But there was like those 3 boys that stuck together and they were all loud and rowdy. But the rest of them were all pretty quiet, and they all stuck to their groups that they knew like before, as best they could. It was so big we had to split it between like me and the girl with me for one of the things, and they did not want to participate at the beginning, but then eventually we got to hitting each other, and then they wanted to participate.
What are you hitting each other with?
Like just like it was basically just what's that called? But like where you try and
Yeah,
Like slap hands, I guess.
yeah, it was. Yeah, it's slap hands, I guess. One where I take my hand, you have to touch hands on one top, one bottom, and then I have to like underneath slap you on top of the hand. Yeah.
Yeah, it was essentially that. You were just trying to get to the other person's hands first to smack them and get them into the circle. You know, just a bunch of like icebreaker games, and teamwork games. At the end, we had to bribe them
Okay.
to participate to get across the quote unquote river. I think that's what we went with. They didn't want to, so we bribed them with candy. Kids will be kids. They want candy. They did in the end, and then they were fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it that were they just not interested in participating, like, or they're just trying to be like
I don't
that kid?
I don't know if they were trying to be like cool and mysterious,
Right.
or if they just didn't want to participate, because that's me. Honestly, I don't want to talk in front of the class. I'm not.
But you do G Crew.
But I do. Yeah. It's because you get community service hours. I was like, that's literally the only reason why. I was like, you get community service hours. It looks good on your resume. Yeah. So what was the question? I lost it for a second there. I think a lot of them just didn't know each other and they were kind of nervous. I think that's it. That's a big portion of it.
Which is ironic because it was designed to help you not to be nervous and meet people.
Yeah, at least so if on freshman, like first day, you saw someone that you knew, you're like, oh hey, I know you. Even if you didn't talk to them, you at least saw them.
Mm-hmm. So we listened to Mark, and he was saying that as G Crew, you have to meet with all your people throughout the week.
Yeah, so they greatly changed the schedule from the last 2 years that I've been there. So G Crew's being a lot more involved this year, and that being that they're gonna meet. I'm not sure if it's the same group that we got on camp day, but you're gonna meet with like, you know, your 13, 14, maybe 15 plus kids on Fridays, sometime during the day, because that's the day we know where they're all at. And you're just gonna go check on them. You're gonna go, you know, say, hey, how are you doing? Are there any of your classes you're struggling with? Is there, you know, a subject you want to work on with me after school one day? And then also we're really encouraged. I want to say encouraged, but like we're low-key forced to. You know, like go to all the football games and invite them to come with us, because like, at least when I was a freshman, a lot of the reason that people didn't go is because they had no one to go with. Like they wanted to go, but they didn't want to be that kid to go alone. So
right. Oh, okay.
They're trying to combat that by saying like, hey, me and this person are gonna go. Do you want to come with us? I can probably give you a ride if you don't live too far out of my range. You know, just to give them those relationships and, you know, the feeling of being included.
Okay. All right. So create like a kind of a buddy system, and then that way they can go. Like, I can't remember the last. I don't even know if I went to a football game once, but kind of like show them where to go, where to sit, like, and kind of just
like
because it's all new still.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the football games, but those are the ones that they, have more like control over us having to go to. Like you could technically invite them to go like out somewhere else, like, because we live by a little plaza with a bunch of like food and stuff. So you'd be like, hey, this Friday after school, we're gonna go to the plaza over here. You want to come with us and walk around for a little bit? You know, whatever. That's
interesting. It does sounds nice. Like as a freshman to be like, no, is it? Do you think the relationship dynamic of that is like big sister, little brother?
I think that's how it's meant to be, and I know for certain that it's they really tried to implement it with us to have someone more of like a stronger connection to than a teacher. Like not quite a teacher, but also not just one of your friends. Like someone sort of in between. Like so we don't technically have to be like those mandated reporters. Like if they say something that's, you know, concerning for their safety or others, you know, we should, but we don't technically have to. So it gives them more of that like security and trust to just talk.
Okay. Do you expect? So have you had that first Friday yet, where you had to go meet with everybody?
No, we're supposed to be getting those groups this week or like next week. There's a good chance that you're gonna be with the group that you're at though, but it's kind of hard with. We have like a really open school where a bunch of students leave and come and go really often. So there's not, by the end of the year, you might have a completely different group than who you started with. So,
do you think the kids will be open? Because you have to check in on them every week. So you're asking.
Yeah, it's like every week or like every other week, something like that.
So we're asking about life, school, classes, grades, whatever else. Do you think they're going to be pretty open?
This is going to sound really bad, but I don't think the guys are going to be as perceptive to it as the girls. Just based on how I saw them acting and how they've been acting like the last week in some.
Is it a maturity thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. They're just not.
I just don't think they'll see as much of the value in it that, maybe some of the girls might see, or maybe a lot of the guys. I've noticed a lot of the guys have more like of their cliques in the groups already than some of the girls do. A lot of the girls stick to themselves, especially if, they don't. You can tell they're really shy, or a lot of the time, at least from what I can tell, is you can generally tell what some of their insecurities are with the way that they dress or the way that they act or the way that they hold themselves up. So I feel like they might be more open to going out when they're invited to something that they probably wouldn't normally be invited to.
It might take. No, I would agree. I would think that the boys would struggle to find that open, like that, like to try opening up to somebody else sometimes. So especially if it's a slightly more evolved program now, they're like, I don't talk to anybody like this. Why are you talking to me like this? Like I'm not going to tell you stuff.
And then especially with me being a girl and then having to go talk to some of those guys, I feel like if anything, they'd be more open to talking to like some of the guys in the program.
Okay.
There's definitely not as many, but they might be more open to some of the guys that'll be talking to them.
Do they give you guys any kind of like training and stuff? So when like little Susie's feeling self-conscious about X, like do they help like coach you on what you should say, or they just trust you as a you were there 3 years ago, you should know what to say?
Yeah, pretty much. There's not like the most training that we got so far was over summer for the summer camp, and that was to just show how to like interact with people. So hopefully through that, I think we're gonna get polled this Friday to one, get told our groups, and two, like given a little talk to about how to handle certain situations and all that stuff, because we're pulling them out of the class, like not all of them at once, obviously. That'd be a lot,
right?
But like one or two at a time. So
because most of the stuff I think you'd be able to speak to based off of just your overall experience thus far. But then like, what do you do when you get that one person who's like, this is the end, man, I don't want it anymore, and you're like, nobody taught me how to handle this guy?
That'd be like, for me personally, that'd be a case where I'd go report it to probably their teacher, our wellness center clerk who's in charge of the program, and like the office or a couple of the people up there that are specialized in the mental health side of the school, which we have a decent selection of people at the school for the mental health and health of the students.
What topics would you feel comfortable talking to people about?
Definitely like the school side of it. What teachers they like or they don't like. Cause like I'm there to gossip about the teachers, man. Some of them, they deserve it. Ugh. Or like if they need help with classes, as long as I have the time, I'd be like willing to stay. And it's something I know I'm good with, then I'd be fine to like stay after school. What else? Like if they just want someone to sit with at lunch, sure.
Okay.
you're just there to help them.
Is it one of those situations where you would go sit with them, or you would invite them into your group?
Probably a little bit of both. Like occasionally you'd switch off, be like, hey, is there a certain place that I could find you at lunch?
Okay.
Maybe it'd be cool if we could, have lunch together once in a while. Or you're welcome to come sit at this general area. We kind of switch the table every once in a while, but stay in this general area if you want to come over. Invite your friends, as long as you're not throwing each other around or rocks at each other's faces.
Right, like read the room. We're not throwing rocks. Hang out, chill, relax.
Just relax. Be that person with the cool that knows the juniors, that knows the seniors. Like, be that person.
Don't be the annoying little brother.
Don't be the freshman that you can tell a freshman.
Right.
Yeah.
Relax. You're amongst friends now.
Yeah.
Just chill. You don't need to impress anybody. You're already in the group.
Yeah. Like you're here. Let's go. Come on.
Do you guys still play hacky sack? That's a weird question out of nowhere.
There's definitely, I'm sure there's some people that do it. Like, I was always terrible at it, so no, to me personally. I think Mark does sometimes. Like, he'll just throw stuff.
He seems like he would be.
He just throws stuff around also, so.
Yeah. Well, he also seems like that, yeah.
Yeah. He just throws stuff around. So I could see him doing it. And, like, some of the other, like, not quite jockey people, but, like, yeah, out in the back courtyard, I could see them doing that. But not as often as I'm sure your folks did.
Yeah. It was always like two groups that were just like, yeah, man, let's hit the hacky sack. And I'm like, all right. I never played hacky sack, but I would hang out. After school, have they started any of the clubs yet? Because I know you wanted to go tabletop.
So they actually switched tabletop and chess to two different things. So chess is going to have its own club and program, and now the weird math teacher has the Dungeons and Dragons club. Everyone calls him weird. He low-key looks like a pedophile. He breathes over your shoulder. I don't have him. I'm so glad I don't. But from everything that I've heard and from what I've seen of him, he's sketchy, man.
It's D&D, man. It's like a new level of nerd.
Yeah.
I support the nerd in the D&D.
Yes. Maybe not the pedophile part, but the nerd in him. They started fall sport tryouts today.
Okay.
I know they have some clubs and stuff started. They're at the point where you can stay after school.
Which ones are you signing up for?
I'm not sure which ones there are this year. I'm sure there's like the standard like chess, student government, but not like the student government. It's like there's probably that club.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. There's the band. There's the True Colors Club, which is for like the LGBTQ community, which is like our school's super open to that stuff. Like, you could pull up one day and there's going to be a kid with a tail sticking out of its not their butt. They wouldn't allow them to have butt plugs, but like clipped onto their shirt or whatever. Or people like me with bright pink hair. Oh my god, there's this one girl with like neon pink hair and purple under. It looks so cool. I need to figure out what brand she uses because it's it. That's it, man. That's
the look.
Yeah. Or there's people with like pants halfway down their butt. Like, we're all over the place, everywhere.
Oh, I don't watch TikTok enough, but every once in a while I'll catch something where they're like, Gen Z's copying like Gen X, and you guys are trying to adopt like old like 80, 90 styles.
Have you seen? Yeah, I think like Y2K. They're trying to like what's that word? Refurbish.
Okay.
That's not the right word for this, but that's the closest that I can think of. Like refurbish Y2K and change it just a little bit. Like duck nails are coming back.
What are duck nails?
They're like violently like. They're gross. They're like they taper off like out, so it ends thicker than what it started in.
Oh,
it's not cute.
No,
not cute. Not cute. Not for me personally. Some people can really pull it off. Like I could never. What else? What was I saying? Where we go? What are we on? I'm on something. Not really, guys.
Shit. Oh, Fuck, I was halfway there, dude. Okay.
The fashion,
Yes.
styles. Crap, I was going somewhere different with it too. Jesus.
To be fair, I'm at my. What time is it?
5:40.
I've been podcasting since noon.
Oh Lord.
I'm at 5.5 hours of this Well, to be fair, you did talk for the hour.
You took a little break there. Kind of sort of. That was kind of crappy. Oh crap. Oh, so
styles,
good there.
LGBT.
Whatever. It'll come back eventually.
Is that community stronger or more accepting than it was when you first started 3 years ago? Or was it still positive then? There
was still a club then, and there was last year too, I think. I think they had to cut that one though, just because there wasn't enough people in it.
Mm.
I mean, I was in it for a bit there. Like, the people in there were like, I don't want to say weird because it sounds terrible speaking of that specific group, but like, just the way that they acted around each other, I didn't really care for.
Okay.
I mean, it's still there now, and I know there's definitely a bunch of there's a wide variety of people in there, regardless of if you like they quote unquote look like they should be in there or like act like they should be. And there's definitely a lot of people that are, you know, part of the LGBTQ community that aren't in the club. But you know, it's another place for them to go to hang out, to, you know, get to connect.
Are we looking for work?
Yes. Oh, my days. Did I tell you about the Taco Bell interview I had that sucked balls? It was awful.
I was going to say yes, but not now that no, maybe.
I mean, I've only ever been to this one interview, so it was like it was for Taco Bell, which whatever, it's Taco Bell. Yeah. It's not the end of the world. But the lady, I got there 15 minutes early, you know. Okay. And then after I get in there, they're like, "Oh yeah, she'll be out there in a couple minutes." 20-something minutes goes by. So then we go sit in the back, and not like the back of the restaurant. Like,
did they give you at least like a free drink?
Yeah. Okay. I got a water, just because I didn't want to seem stingy and just weird about it. And you're like, I don't know. I felt some kind of way about it.
You it was like a pre-test. Yeah. You're like, does she take the free soda?
Yeah. That's kind of how I thought about it. I was like, oh, am I going to get judged here? 'Cause I didn't know what to expect. So then we go sit down at the table. There's like 2 other people in the lobby, that area. And she's like, she hands me a notebook. She opens it, and there's like 4 other pages in front of mine with other people's names and contact information. And then she flips to my page. She's like, she slides me the notebook. She's like, okay, write your name, your number, your email, and what days you can work. That's it.
No, there you go.
So then I wrote all this down. She's like, okay, you can go now.
I could email that to you.
It was like 5 minutes of me writing at the most.
So,
and then she sent me off. And that was it.
How did you apply for this position to get said interview?
It was online. Like, all the ones that I sent in so far have been online.
So wouldn't she have had that information?
Yeah.
So she just wasted everybody's time?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking. All right, just want to make sure that tracks. Okay.
Yeah. Real fine. There have been a couple places that have like said that they're reviewing my interview, or not my interview, my resume, and then nothing comes of it, which whatever. I'll get funds one way or another. That sounds terrible. Whoa, that sounded so bad. No. I meant that I'll like do the marketing stuff and help Ben. Oh, my days. That's funny.
Are you good with? So you had one interview that you really didn't have an interview. Like, were you ready to like handle like the interview type questions? Like, did you do any prep?
Yeah. Because I was in marketing, there was like a whole course for that. Like, you made your resume in that class. You did practice questions. You did a whole like secondary test thing to help you know what you needed to work more on. Like, I was set up good, and then I got set up with this Jack freaking ball sucking
somehow it got worse
interview. It was really bad. Yeah, so whenever the next one is, whatever the next one ends up being, I feel like I'll be more ready. I'll be expecting something like the Taco Bell interview and hoping for better than the Taco Bell interview.
That's lame because I've done interviews before and I've helped people with interviews. I've doctored up a couple of resumes for people to kind of make it look nice and pretty for them. So I almost get slightly offended when people don't take when a manager doesn't take the interview process legit. It bothers me.
Yeah,
because they're wasting everybody's time.
Hola?
Like,
You got all excited.
So we're still applying. We're open for something.
Definitely. And then whatever stuff ends up happening with the podcast, and being able to help in that way.
Yes. She's going to be executive. What was the title we gave you?
Are we going with Whimsy, or no? Is Liam going to be all butthurt about it?
No, I think we're going to go with, we'll go executive personal assistant to Whimsy.
Yeah.
Which just means she's going to help me do the socials.
All the stuff that he doesn't want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it needs to get done. I don't want to do it. I mean, I podcast 6 hours a day now, I guess. That's my thing. I don't remember how much we talked about you talking with Danielle and doing the other interviews and stuff. What will you do different next month when you talk to Danielle?
Probably come up with a couple questions on my own, or maybe a general idea of where I want it to go and questions to ask, which I feel like it's going to be harder to do next month because at least this month it had school. Next month it's just kind of a month.
I don't know. We've asked everybody, what are some topics that we can talk about? Not necessarily next month, but maybe next month. But what are some topics that you would like to dive into?
I mean, me personally, I'm always open to talk about literally anything. We can dive deep. We can, talk about whatever. Danielle suggested, embarrassing stories, and I thought, maybe favorite memories could be fun. Just stories, I think would be really fun.
Okay.
Very, very specific stories that you really haven't gotten the chance to talk about, or you just haven't talked about in forever. Maybe something like that.
Okay.
A way to get to know them without it being 50 million questions.
Would it help to know, I don't know if help's the right word, but would it be better if you guys knew more details about each of the six of you? So if I came up with a questionnaire of sorts, favorite color, everything else, or just did next month we just do 20 questions of what are your favorites of whatever it is.
That could be fun. We could all compile. You could put us all in a thing, and we all come up with 20 questions, and we just end up.
Okay,
that'd be fun. That could be an idea. Maybe not next month, but eventually.
I had an idea of writing up a questionnaire of real teenagery type stuff. Of have you smoked? Have you drank? And get into some deeper questions, but never tell anybody what the answers are. But then the problem I ran into is have you ever smoked weed? And it'd be 3 of 6 of you have, and you're well, clearly it's not the 11-year-old.
Well,
maybe.
Actually, you never really know nowadays. It's so easy to get literally anything from anyone now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hey man, I got my ways.
But I thought it would be interesting, and I'd only let the 6 of you see the results of that because I don't think it wouldn't be for everybody else, but it would kind of give
the idea just to be oh, y'all are kind of risky, whatever,
right? Or to see if because I think sometimes you might be nervous if there's those high school milestones. I haven't hit those things yet. Should I have hit them? Am I hit and just see a survey and be oh, 4 of the other kids haven't done this, so I guess I'm on track. I'm okay. So I don't know what those questions look like.
Yeah, that could be something. I think definitely having the group chat or something.
Yeah, we did want to. I wanted to try to get a group chat with all 6 of you. I think it'll be interesting. I think you and Danielle will be on it the most. just chatting about whatever animes. I don't know. I would be curious to see how the boys would interact in the group chat. But then it also allows me to at least communicate with the 6 of you guys instead of
at the very least, instead of like
I'm hunting down everybody's mom. I'm like, like when can you guys record? And then it's like, just cut out the middle, man. Let's just hang out.
I'm good near about whenever. So,
what are some of the deeper topics that you think would be important to tackle eventually?
For everyone, or like for me?
Let's do for everybody, and then I'll come back to you.
Gosh, that's hard.
Bullying, yes.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Mental health.
That's another big one. Maybe like self-image, but that one might be kind of tough. That one could probably go in with mental health, self-image. You could group those together.
Or, well, I don't know, because what's interesting is in the first month, if you listen, most of you hinted at some form of like body image.
Oh yeah,
like
it's there.
Yeah,
it's there for everyone. Like, regardless of you're too egotistical about the way you look, or you hate and despise it every second of the day. Like, there's an in between, and everyone's somewhere in between those two. Like, they're.
So, and then what about you? What are you ready to get into?
I really don't care because my dad's not going to listen to it. So I really don't care.
All right.
Are there any if there's any topics that you don't want to go over?
No, I think anything that comes out organically, I think is fair game. And I think some of if it comes up organically, it's fair game, but I still reserve the right to cut it out if necessary. Yeah. Like if you and I have a moment and we're just like, and we get into something crazy, I'm confident enough to be like, okay, that wasn't necessarily the idea behind the podcast, and then we would just bring it up in a later episode.
Yeah.
But I think I would to keep the podcast as close to its original mission statement. I think I would be open to just about anything, really.
Yeah.
And then just as a, and then again, as a father and an adult, depending on where it went, I would obviously edit / involve others if necessary. But because I think it is important, because with the range of ages, if you haven't experienced it, you might
eventually,
right? Yeah. And or if it's a cry for help, to let others know, be like, hey, I also am struggling with the same thing. And so hopefully the being able to relate whatever you're going with and someone else sharing it, you're kind of like, okay, it's not like the end of the world. And then we can share on like how you guys all handle and deal. And
I think for me, a good one that I could probably go into is more about like when I was a younger kid and grief and loss and that whole section for a day that we're just going to go for it.
I think relationships with, I would be curious, and one coming up will be the home dynamic, single parent households, mom, dad, just mom, just dad. I think that would be interesting because I think Alice hinted at she was getting bullied for not having a dad, which is like the stupid, like I can't believe that with all the advancements in like society,
that it's still
like you don't have a dad is still like hits you hard. Like it's so weird. So I would be curious to see, just the different home dynamics. But, we'll see. Obviously, if they don't want to talk about it, but just get an idea.
I'll be there to talk about it. If you don't want to, I'll be there.
Let's see. What else is? What is nice is what I'm seeing so far. We've done 4 of these?
Total?
5 of these.
Us?
No, the number of interviews. I've done everybody but Liam. So everybody seems a little bit more relaxed month 2. And I feel like they're opening up more. So I'm curious to see what happens when they feel the safe space and see what kind of candid they get into.
Oh yeah.
Or just like, what is a bad date? Like, what does a bad week look like?
That's going to be such a big range, and I feel like that could be really good, but it could also be a really short talk. So you might want to have something else paired along with that.
Right, because you got into it a little bit with Danielle when she was talking about just a hard day. But I guess we could just do like what was like the hardest week and what was happening. Mm-hmm. And then that way we can try to get something a little bit more out of it. And then that way we can still hide the anonymity of it could have been last year, could have been yesterday. Until you're like, yesterday I hate this.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting. Who was it? Oh man. I did it with Mark, but tweak it a little bit of like asking everybody like their signs of
needing help.
Yes. Like what are they like? What are the subtle like hints of like I'm screaming for help, but I'm gonna low key play it off like I don't.
I think a lot of people are doing that constantly.
Yeah, they do. Because like I do those live streams, and I get all sad dad, and I have to like reassure everybody just in case. I'm like, I'm okay, I promise. But just because it is one of those things where you hear it the one time and you're just like, oh, it's just whatever. But could it be like I'm screaming out for help? And then like we totally all missed it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's also really hard to pinpoint, for me at least, because like I do it all the time, but I don't even think it's on purpose half the time. Like sometimes it's like very much so on purpose, and other times it's like I don't even know what I'm doing. And they're like, dude, are you good? I'm like,
I don't know.
Yeah. And then I just end up saying yeah, and then it spirals, and then not cool.
Because it makes people uncomfortable to like, how are you doing? And then anything other than okay or good makes people uncomfortable.
Yep.
And I would like the podcast to show like you're allowed to be like upset or feel anything other than okay. And then try to work a way through to be like, hey, because they all have different support groups. Some are more friend, some are mom and dad, some are like siblings, or like someone else's mom or dad. Where like I hate my parents, but I'll talk to somebody else's parents for days.
That's how it is.
Or you can just be like me and just bottle it all up.
Yo,
no.
Twins.
Yes. No, it'd be interesting. I think the podcast is on track to what I was hoping to get from this. Kids talking kids and what?
What if we all did one where we interviewed you? Teen questions for an adult.
Okay. So I would absolutely be down with that. But you would all have to come up with your own Man, so
Like bit.
right, because you can't all be asking me like, what was your most embarrassing moment? Because then you'd hear it 5 times. So
Yeah.
you'd have to like,
Or you could,
you would all have to submit questions and we just divide them up,
or you could come up with certain scenarios that you could talk about and go deeper into, and like we each just pick one. You give us like 12, and we'll each pick like 1 or 2.
specific to me.
Yeah, or something that it doesn't have to be specific to you, but something that you know enough about to be able to talk about. Does that make sense? Or no?
Okay,
Really?
all right. That would be interesting because you liked talking to Danielle. You got a little something different out of it. So now we put everybody else in a position to ask me questions.
And then you get to ask us questions.
And then I got to be like, man, I'm a mess. Depending on what topics you guys, I'd be down with that because I think it's only fair. I try to limit my experiences.
Then maybe if anything, I'll separately come on one day and do it.
All right.
This episode's going to have to get cut down. We're yapping.
It is what it is. Dude, I don't like cutting stuff.
You're like, I'm too lazy to. Whatever.
No, I'll go in. I'll cut a couple of the dead airs. This thing's at 52 minutes right now. I'll cut it down to like 50 if I can. Nah, man, because like this is it. Yeah, there's some ramble, but it is what it is. I would be interested to see. All right, so all of you guys listening, I'll put the poll on Spotify, but any of the Whimsy Teens, parents, anybody else that's listening, submit a question or a topic that you would like one of the Whimsy kids to ask me, and see if we can get. Obviously, you jump in, leave your comments too, Pinky, but we'll get a bunch of them, and then probably not next month, but maybe the month after.
Get more.
I'll have you guys flip the script, and we'll be Z with a Whimsy.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound as good, but it's what it is. Do you have anything that you would like to chat about before we go?
Not anything in specific. Are there any other questions you'd like to ask me?
I don't know.
That aren't necessarily related to school, because that's mostly, I feel like that's been the focus, has been school, which is understandable, but.
Yeah, well, and I think part of it, we knew that these first 2 are going to be very school-centric.
Every time this chair gets me, and I feel like I'm done. Jesus.
Liam likes it. He can't.
I'll be fine if I'm holding on to something or like doing it on purpose, but like I lean back just a little too far for comfort, and I almost knocked over the table. Okay.
Do I have any questions for you? Outside of school, how's life treating you? I always ask everybody about school, but I never ask enough about life. What is life as a 17-year-old outside of school looking like right now?
On the average week, it's pretty mid. Like there's usually nothing too exciting going on, but like this last week and a half, 2-ish weeks pushing it, been pretty shit. Like not good. But it is what it is. It'll pass. That's my thing. We have to do manifestos at school. We're making our own manifestos. And
don't like serial killers make manifestos?
Yeah, that's what he was saying. He was like, it's not to be like political. It's not to be your serial killer list.
So what is a manifesto by definition?
It's your beliefs or the way that you think put out to the public so they can get an idea of who you are.
Okay.
A lot of the times we just see it in politics.
Okay.
Because it's not like the everyday person's going to be like, here's my manifesto. This is me, Bob Gerald.
Right.
32-year-old man. Like, Okay. So for it's more of just like another bordering on schoolwork, bordering on still get to know you.
Okay.
So my thing was just like, people are like rocks, okay? Some people see more value in some rocks than others, and some people see more value in people than they do others, and that's not fair because they're all people, and rocks are rocks. So what? They're all just existing on a floating planet, going into the void of nothingness, probably gonna get eaten by fucking black hole. You know, we're just here. We're just existing. We're all existing, and everything. It'll pass. It'll all pass.
It does all pass.
It'll all pass. It's not in my 16-year-old brain. This seems like the end of the world. What's happening right now? It'll pass. Do I want it to pass sooner and get better? Yes, but it'll pass in its own time.
So you're self-aware enough to know that whatever's going on the last 2 weeks isn't the end of the world.
Yeah. And sometimes in the moment, it's super hard to think that way. But like in a time like this where I'm pulled back and it's not actively happening, you know, I can think like rationally.
Right.
Then I'm like, it's not the end of the world. It'll pass. It'll get better, or it'll.
Does it help keep you
balance out in some
sane?
way. I think just talking like an adult instead of like having to talk like a teen.
Okay.
Just kind of helps get it out, but then also
Helps stop the spiral for a minute.
yeah, stops the spiral for a second. Gets me to just
Get some perspective. Have a little.
yeah. I feel like a little bit more respect than I would just.
Oh.
Yeah. Got a little rough there for a second. My bad.
All right. No, I was just thinking. I'm like, we got to figure out how we word the. You guys ask me questions because I've seen some ups and I've seen some downs. I've seen the spiral.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh man.
Yeah. Now you're thinking about it. You're
You
like,
guys are gonna lose all the respect. I mean, for whatever little respect you had of me, you're gonna lose it. No, but it will be interesting though, because even as a teen, you're like, it's gonna be so much easier when I'm an adult. I'm like, no, because you still
the
have
same thing, just
Yeah.
with taxes. The taxes, they come back full circle.
Whimsy.